This is Hoosier Ag Today. It's the morning edition on the 5th of October, 2015. Hello, I'm Andy Eubank, and we have the latest Indiana farm news for you. And Ryan Martin's Indiana Farm Forecast. What's ahead as far as harvest weather? Ryan will check in with the details on that. We'll look back at Friday's farm markets as well and get reaction from Bob Utterback of Utterback Marketing Services. Coming up in the news, Hoosier farmers appreciate in-state research. And Gary Truitt reports on new technology being used to deal with animal terrorist activities. All of that is coming up on the morning edition of Hoosier Ag Today.
Indiana Farm Bureau needs you. It's critical for your farm and family that your voice be heard daily. Farm Bureau membership tells legislators that Indiana agriculture stands together on property tax issues, farmland annexation, and water rules. Protect your livelihood and children's future by going online to infb.org/join or call 1-800-FARM-BUREAU. infb.org/join or call 1-800-FARM-BUREAU. Your membership brings value and benefits, but more importantly, it adds your voice to that of your neighbors and friends. Don't stand on the sidelines. Be heard on local, state, and national issues. We'll show you how. Indiana Farm Bureau needs you. Go to infb.org/join or call 1-800-FARM-BUREAU.
This is Hoosier Ag Today. I'm Andy Eubank reporting on Indiana agriculture, and this news is brought to you by DuPont Pioneer. The Agronomy Report is back with DuPont Pioneer, and that includes harvest updates throughout this harvest season. Listen each week on this station and check out the agronomy page online, HoosierAgToday.com. This summer, DuPont Pioneer expanded its Tipton County, Indiana research location in Windfall to include another 15,000 square feet of indoor workspace, 9,600 square feet of equipment and machinery storage, and 3 new breeding programs. Windfall is a prime product development research location for the company, and senior research scientist at Windfall, Mert McLeod, says Indiana farmers understand the important work going on there.
They're excited that we are expanding our facilities and the work that we do and the resources, because ultimately for them, they understand that brings to them better products for their farms. And I think they do get it. And they're excited that in Indiana, DuPont Pioneer is making significant investment.
He explains that doing research in Indiana specifically is important to growers in the state.
Geography is very important. Developing products, we know that there are geographical differences in terms of how some of the products work. We have hybrids that are most suited for eastern growing environments versus western growing environments. It's a telling need for research programs across the country, but local growers also are very interested in products that have been developed and tested widely in their growing environment. That's a natural thing for growers to want.
And one of the products soon to come from the Indiana research is called Chrome. You can read more at our website, HoosierAgToday.com. Last Friday, an alert was issued to warn livestock producers about possible local activity by a radical animal rights group. Gary Truitt reports on the reason for the alert and new technology being used to deal with animal terrorist activities.
The Farm Animal Rights Movement, or FARM, a radical fringe group, had planned attacks and protests against animal agriculture on Friday. This prompted a warning to producers and the food industry from the Animal Ag Alliance.
Each year on this day, the farm group kind of amps up their activities to try to gain more attention to their cause, which is, of course, ending animal agriculture and meat consumption to push us all towards being vegan and not using animals for human use in any way. So at the Alliance, part of our mission, of course, is to monitor what these groups are doing to make sure we keep our members and the industry informed, to be aware and ready to react or respond if there are issues.
That's Hannah Thompson with the Alliance, who reported there were no major incidents on Friday, but producers need to be vigilant on the activities of these radical animal rights groups. To help producers prepare, the Alliance has created a special animal security app for mobile devices.
And it will contain some really valuable information in a very accessible way. So a couple examples of things contained there will be employment advice, farm security tips and checklists, crisis management resources and planning for a crisis, some key contacts there.
Thompson said with animal rights groups becoming more and more aggressive, security is an issue that producers and the industry need to take more seriously.
America's farms and ranchers, they're the front lines of our food supply. So keeping these facilities safe and secure is really essential to both animal health and well-being, and also to making sure that we have a supply of milk, meat, and eggs that's safe and available for consumption.
The app will be available for download later this month. I'm Gary Truitt.
And I'm Andy Eubank. This is Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's Farm Network.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at Hoosier Ag Today's Indiana Farm Forecast from the Wells Fargo Forecast Center. Tell you what, this weekend was an absolute disappointment. We were looking for most of the grayness and the moisture that actually ended up moving into parts of Indiana to stay farther east, and it just didn't. And so it was nasty. I did not like it. I didn't like it for two reasons. First of all, I just flat out didn't like it. Secondly, I wouldn't have minded it quite so much if I hadn't been so sure that it was going to stay at bay. But you know what? These things happen. You get back on the horse and off we go. So what do we expect as we go through this week? Honestly, my expectations are not for much when you get right down to it. Surface analysis right now shows that everything off to the west that was kind of firing off over the Great Plains is disintegrated. We've got a strong low that's down in the desert southwest, but I actually think the next thing that's going to be coming together is a low that's just now working out of Southern California into Arizona. Look for this thing to really gather strength as we head toward midweek. By then, we should be looking at a nice big batch of rain firing off in the Central Plains, and I think that thing heads towards us as we go through the Thursday-Friday time frame. Actually, I'd say Friday-Saturday is probably a better time frame for this thing to work its way through. So I definitely think we're going to be seeing moisture come our way. The thing is, between now and, let's say, Thursday, I don't think much happens here at all. I think most of the Hoosier state's going to be seeing temperatures bounce back closer to normal after a very chilly weekend. We should be back closer to where we should be for this time of year. I'm looking for dry weather Monday through Thursday, although I will grant that we could see some cloud cover from time to time as the system passes by to the north. Our eggs are really in the Friday-Saturday basket right now with that moisture coming out of the Central Plains. Right now I like a 1/4 to 1 inch rainfall totals. I like coverage across the Hoosier State, probably 70 to 75%. It could be better than that, honestly. It could be as good as 90% or even 100% when all said and done. However, here 4 to 5 days out, I guess I'm just not ready to hop completely on that bandwagon yet. There's plenty of things that could go wrong as this system comes out of the Central Plains. Moisture, though, probably toward the lower end of the range, as we said, 1/4 to 1 inch. I'd say a good chunk of the state's probably going to be in the 1/4 to half range. Then after that, we see a strong high come in for a good part of next week, mostly Monday through Thursday. We're going to be dry again next week. So you'll see we're still in this pattern where we have nice windows of opportunity in between systems that come through. And what's going to be real interesting here is we don't just see that for the Hoosier State, we see it across the entire Corn Belt. So you're going to continue to hear about good weather stories west to east. Temperatures looking to be close to normal, a little bit above this week, probably with that high pressure dome next week going back a bit below, averaging out for normal for the month of October. What that means is, we're getting closer to our first frost just because the calendar's flipping by. But there's no real concern about it here short term, and it's definitely not going to be an early frost. You can throw that talk out the window at this point. That's the way things are stacking up here this morning. Have a great rest of your day. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin on Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's Farm Network.
Monitor your grain anytime, any place with GrainTrack from Co-Alliance. GrainTrack uses the latest technology for remote temperature readings every 30 minutes. Let GrainTrack remove the guesswork from grain storage so you don't need to drive, climb, or keep handwritten notes to track information. Save money on electricity and shrink by not over-drying. A typical installed system is only a few cents per bushel. For more information, check out GrainTrack at coalliance.com. GrainTrack bin monitoring only from Co-Alliance.
This is Hoosier Ag Today and the Friday Farm Market Review. Very quiet on Friday, and we finish mostly lower. I'm Andy Eubank. The review is brought to you by Seed Consultants, simply the best value in the seed industry. Simply the best value in the seed industry. 800-708-2676 and online, seedconsultants.com. Volatile markets all week long, but on Friday, a finish right near unchanged for corn, soybeans, and wheat. During During the middle of Trade Friday, I checked in for analysis and a review of the week. Bob Utterback of Utterback Marketing Services joined me.
This week we had the stocks report. That was the big thing. Basically, the core number was a neutral. I guess to the bulls maybe a slight disappointment. At 1.7 plus. The B number was below 200 million, 191. But that was slightly positive. The wheat number was probably the most positive of the numbers out of the complex. But still, the problem with wheat is, even though we had a little less inventory, our stocks of world prices, we are still way above the world clearing price for wheat. So we're not shipping it out as aggressively as we would like, as we saw at yesterday's exports. Also, this is harvest time period, and it's always difficult to rally during harvest. Yields are coming in, I guess, overall at or above expectation. And if I had to, at this point, suggest, I think the bean yields are better than most people anticipated, even in the central and eastern corn belt where most of the weather damage is at. So the October supply-demand report next Friday, I would not be surprised if the bean yields are equal to, if not smidgen higher, and corn maybe smidgen lower, but we're talking just really technical degrees. The big thing in the next week's Friday's report will have to be will they start playing around with the harvest acres of the betta makers? What will that number be? And I think that's the only arrow in the bull's quiver at this point. The jobs report came out today at below trade expectation by almost 60,000 jobs, and they revised down the previous month jobs. So the effective rate, even though they say it's 5.1, when they put the people that are unemployed, is over 10%. And we're the strongest economy in the world right now with China. They revised down their growth rates from 6.8 to 6.5 this week. So it's been a rough week for the stock market. It's been a rough week for the grains. I think everybody's ready for the markets to close and taking the weekend off. But I would say in light of what the bearishness, I would argue the grain market has acted pretty healthy, because I think the farmers are not going to sell the product down here. And I think that's probably the most bullish thing, is farmers are going to store this market grain away from the market, and that'll give us some technical balance and no deece. But if you have to sell in Jan, Feb, March for cash flow, I think you got to be sold before the December supply demand report. And that's I think time will become more important than price. And so looking forward, I think that's the really question you got to ask yourself is, when do you pull the trigger for winter sales?
This coming Friday's update from USDA, what do you expect?
I just don't think the yield is going to be there. So the only thing that I think could be a big mover would be the harvest acres number.
Bob Utterback of Utterback Marketing Services, and the toll-free office line is 800-832-1488. Now, the closing numbers in Chicago, the December corn contract finishes up a half cent, $3.89 1/4. March corn $3.99 1/2, down 1/4 cent. November beans $8.74 1/4, 3 cents lower. January $8.78 1/4, down 2 1/2. Wheat off a nickel on the December contract, $5.13 1/4. And that's the Friday Farm Market Review and a wrap-up of our Monday morning edition here on Hoosier Ag Today. I'm Andy Eubank. Thanks for joining us today. We're back later on today with an update on the grain markets on our midday edition and expert analysis as well. Cody Bills scheduled to join me from Grain Hedge. And you can stay up to date with the markets all day long at HoosierAgToday.com and the mobile app for Apple and Droid. Also, midday updates on many of our Hoosier Ag Today radio stations all across the state. Have a good Monday and a good week from all of us here at HAT, Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's Farm Network.